My name is Emily Carter, and I am 25 years old. I was born and raised in Toronto, Canada. I have blonde hair and blue eyes like my mother. My family was not rich, and we always struggled with money. I worked at a coffee shop downtown to pay my bills. I dreamed of a different life, with nice things, and no worries about money. I met Robert Thompson at the coffee shop where I worked. He was 50 years old and came in every morning for his coffee. He was a retired engineer who had worked for 30 years. His wife had died 2 years before we met. He seemed lonely, but he was always kind to me. I noticed his expensive watch and nice clothes right away. He started talking to me more each day. He told me about his big house and his comfortable life. I listened and smiled because I saw my chance. He was gentle and smart, but I only thought about what he could give me. After 3 months, he asked me to dinner. I said yes because I wanted to see his house. His house was everything I had imagined. It had 5 bedrooms and a big garden. The furniture was expensive and beautiful. He cooked dinner for me, and we talked for hours. He was sweet and caring, but I was thinking about living there. I made him fall in love with me on purpose. He asked me to marry him after 6 months. I said yes quickly, without thinking about love. The wedding was small and quiet. We went to his house after the ceremony. I felt like I had won something important. But deep inside, I knew I was lying to him about my feelings. Our son David was born 1 year later. He had his father's dark hair and my blue eyes. He held the baby like it was the most precious thing in the world. I felt nothing special when I looked at them together. I was still only thinking about the comfortable life I now had. He was a wonderful father and husband. He took care of David every night so I could sleep. He bought everything we needed without complaining. He worked part-time as a consultant to give us more money, but I felt bored and restless in our perfect house. I wanted excitement and adventure. When David was 2 years old, I met Marcus at the gym. He was young and handsome like me. He made me laugh and feel young again. We started meeting secretly for coffee and walks. I felt guilty, but I could not stop seeing him. The excitement was like a drug to me. For months, I lived 2 different lives. At home, I was a wife and mother. With Marcus, I felt free and wild. I lied about where I went and what I did. He trusted me completely, so he never asked questions. His trust made me feel worse, but I kept lying anyway. One day, he came home early and found me texting Marcus. He read the messages over my shoulder. His face went white, and his hands started shaking. He sat down hard in his chair. I tried to explain, but no words would come out of my mouth. He looked at me for a long time without speaking. Then he looked at David playing with his toys. His eyes filled with tears, but he did not cry. He just stared at our son like he was trying to decide something. The silence in the room was terrible and frightening. That evening, David asked him a simple question. "Daddy, will we always stay together as a family?" he said. He looked at David and then at me. I saw him make a decision in that moment. His love for David was stronger than his pain about what I had done. He told me he would forgive me if I ended things with Marcus. He said David needed both his parents. He said we could start over if I promised to be faithful. I was shocked because I expected him to throw me out. No one had ever been so good to me after I hurt them. I ended things with Marcus the next day. Marcus was angry and called me names. He said I was choosing security over love. But I realized I was choosing family over selfishness. I walked away from him and never looked back. My heart felt heavy, but I knew it was right. The next months were difficult for both of us. He was polite but distant with me. We only talked about David and daily things. I tried to be a better wife and mother. The house felt cold, even though it was summer. I wondered if we would ever be happy again. I started to see him differently as time passed. I watched how he played with David every evening. I saw how hard he worked to make us comfortable. I noticed his gentle ways and patient heart. Something began to grow in my chest that I had never felt before. I began cooking his favorite meals and asking about his work. I thanked him for small things I had ignored before. I played with David and tried to be a real mother. He seemed surprised by these changes in me. His smiles started to come back little by little. One night, David had a bad dream, and we both ran to comfort him. Our hands touched as we reached for him together. He looked into my eyes, and I felt something new and warm. It was not the wild excitement I felt with Marcus. This feeling was deeper and more real than anything before. I realized I was falling in love with my own husband. It was different because now I knew his heart. I had seen his pain and his forgiveness. I understood what kind of man he really was. This love grew from respect and real caring, not from wanting his money. He began to trust me again as more months passed. He held my hand when we walked with David. We talked about everything like real friends do. I felt like I was meeting him for the first time. I had been blind to his goodness when we first married. 2 years after that terrible day, I told him I loved him. We were putting David to bed together. I said the words quietly while David was falling asleep. He looked at me with surprise and hope in his tired eyes. I meant every word I said. He asked if I really meant it this time. I nodded and felt tears on my face. He took my hand and squeezed it gently. We sat together, watching David sleep peacefully. I felt complete for the first time in my whole life. The next year, we decided to move to a small house by a lake. We wanted a fresh start, away from the city. The lake house was simple but beautiful. David could play outside, and we could be close to nature. It felt like we were starting our lives over again. At the lake house, we fell in love again without any lies between us. We walked by the water every evening while David played. We talked about our dreams and hopes for the future. I had never been so happy in all my life. The mistakes of the past seemed far away now. Now we have been at the lake for 3 years. David is starting school in the small town nearby. We are expecting another baby in the spring. Sometimes I cannot believe this peaceful life is really mine. I wake up grateful every single morning for this second chance at love.